Okay, if I can just ask anyone who's got their cameras on to actually turn them off, and if you can mute yourselves, that would be great. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to day 8 of the Peckham and Nunhead Free Film Festival. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight for this event. I'd like to introduce the filmmaker Tiana Banton, whose film The Closer I Get to You is the film that we're discussing tonight. And I'd also like to introduce Sherelle Skeet, actor and co-founder of Blacktress.uk. I first met Tiana, and we were just talking about this, at Peckham Plex when she screened Trial and Error. And that was actually when we were doing a free film festival event. And Tiana remembers better than I do that it was 2017. And you were doing, your own screening. And I think we had something going on, and we just got chatting then. And ever since then, we kept on talking about we will get a film into one of our festivals. And it's kind of gone backwards and forwards. And yeah, I think you were still filming and editing, and we've never quite been able to do it. And finally, we're very happy to have your film as part of the festival and to have you here tonight.
I'm very happy to be you guys to have chosen. Like, it's kind of a surreal moment. So.
Well, it's really nice to have you. So the Peckham and Nunhead Film Festival, I'll just give people a bit of background if they don't know. We've been running a festival for 11 years. We show free films in Peckham and Nunhead in all kinds of different venues. And the idea of the whole festival is really just to bring cinema to people, really. And so by making everything free, we make it very accessible. And it can be in community centres, in churches, in pubs, in the cemetery, Nunhead Cemetery, in parks, all kinds of venues. And if people want to get involved, you're very welcome. We can put something in the chat about that if you'd like to volunteer and get involved and maybe program a film with us, or if you'd like to learn about projection or marketing. There's lots of different roles within the festival, and we welcome everyone. We're very much a part of this community with workshops that we do. So yeah, if you'd like to get involved, please do. So yeah, we're going to keep the cameras off and people muted, but as people, if you want to ask a question, if you put it into the chat, Sherelle's going to talk to Tiana for a while, and then we'll open the floor up. And if you put your question in the chat, then we'll come back to you. And actually, if you take your camera off and unmute yourself, you can actually ask Tiana the question in person. So I'm going to hand over to Sherelle, and I'm going to go off now. And again, it's really nice to have you join the festival. And yeah, good luck.
Hi everyone. As Howard said, my name is Sherelle Skeet. I'm an actor and co-founder of Blacktress, a work and support and grassroots group for Black women actors, and we've produced a couple of films as well. So we are here to talk to our wonderful Tiana Banton. So first of all, congratulations. And
Thank you.
I'm gonna read your bio for the people. So Tiana Rianne Banton was born 20th of July 1996, is a British Caribbean filmmaker, director, singer, songwriter, photographer, author, and voice actor. Tiana mainly focuses on filmmaking and music, and released her debut EP, Reflections, in July. So, along with the film that you watched tonight, The Closer I Get to You, her other credits include Last Wish, A Kind Soul, the movie, What Could Go Wrong, Trial and Error, Best Blues, Young, Black and On the Way Up, Reincarnation, amongst many others. So we're going to jump straight in, and I'm going to ask you, so Tiana, what inspired you to tell this story?
If I'm being completely honest, I was in uni. It was my final year, so we were doing our final major project. And me and my friend, we were kind of discussing what it was that we wanted to do. And so we would normally sit in the canteen and listen to music and chit chat. And I was listening to a playlist on YouTube, And my music taste is kind of like old school, so it's very much, you know, like 60s to late 90s is where my head's at. And The Closer I Get to You came on the YouTube playlist, and I just kept like envisioning a story about a young black couple in love, but because I was focusing on uni, I pushed it aside, and then I kept having the same idea like over and over and over and over again. I was like, okay, I better start writing this down because it's not going to leave me alone if I don't. So the song itself was the inspiration, and so I just called it The Closer I Get to You.
Okay. So what uni did you go to? So hang on, rewind. So I'm going to stick a pin in what you said in terms of what inspired the story, but I'm going to ask you a bit more about your journey. Tell me about where you went to uni and also your journey, getting to uni, and then all of that stuff.
Okay. So I went to the University of the Arts, London College of Communication. I actually started making films when I was 17. I'd been writing kind of scripts before that, but I didn't know what to do with them. And then one evening I watched 2 short films and I was like, I want to do something like that. So I called a couple of friends who was in uni studying, and was like, do you want to make a short film on the weekend? And they were like, sure. And so we shot Last Wish in a golf club, which now that I look back on it, probably wasn't the best idea. We almost got hit, but we did.
Oh, bless me.
And then it kind of just became infectious. It kind of just became something that I had to do. And so over the years, I just kept making films. And with each film, I kind of looked at it as something to kind of learn from. Because again, I didn't really know filmmaking. And then it got to the age where, you know, it's like uni, real job, what are you going to do? And I didn't want to go to uni at first. And my friend who was actually studying at UAL was like, look, just go to a couple open days. And if you feel like you're supposed to be there, go. And the second I stepped into UAL with my aunt, I was just like, I need to be here. Like, these are my people. I need to be here. So I applied, I got in, and then like studied 3 years while making films on the side as well.
And what course did you study on?
I actually studied live events and television. So the film practice course that I wanted to do was booked. It was full. And they gave me an unconditional offer to live events and television. And I was like, well, it's still uni. Okay, cool. And then when I got there, I kind of realized that it was basically the entire media industry. It covered everything from like fashion shows to TV movies. So I still got to explore a lot of the filmmaking kind of aspects because we had lessons on it. But yeah, it was more in my 3rd year that I kind of pushed more into like sort of film and that kind of aspect of the course.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about your love for music from, you know, the 60s leading up to what era did you start? The 90s, did you say?
Late 90s.
Late 90s. That's where your playlists come from. So would you say, like, how important, I suppose the question I'm going to ask, does music play a part in your, I suppose, your life, which obviously impacts your art? How important is it?
I'd say like a pretty big impact. Music's always been like my dad. He's a DJ. My grandfather was a DJ, so I always grew up with like music in the house and, you know, rare groove, soul, R&B, all that kind of stuff. So like kind of where my love came from. And then when I got older and I was like, oh, I wanna make music. I knew that was kind of the direction I wanted to be in. When it comes to filmmaking, there's often times along and envision a scene or envision, you know, moments. And so when I'm filmmaking, I often think about, okay, what song would help explore this story, and that's like something that I think about as well in editing. You know, when I'm with my editor and we're sitting down watching the stuff, I often think while he's thinking about different angles, I'm thinking about what song is going to help tell this story, what song is going to allow the audience to feel connected on an even more personal level. So yeah, music is and always has been a massive part of just who I am as a person.
Who would you say like your top 5 artists that you...
No,
that's hard.
top 5.
Good luck.
It is. Brandy. But then I also like Temptations.
Mm-hmm.
Lately, I've been obsessed with This Night and the Pips. Shaka Khan. And I like a bit of Keith Sweat every now and then. You know, second whatnot.
Nice. Okay, I'm gonna give. Based on that, you have to make sure that you watch the verses that's going to be happening on Instagram. They're doing a verses between Patti LaBelle and who did you just say?
Gladys Knight.
Gladys Knight. They're
I'm
doing
gonna be
back to back. So shout out any fans of that music. Put it in the chat. Yes, thumbs up, hands up. Let me know. So yeah, can you tell me a little bit about what was happening for you before lockdown? Yeah, what were you doing at the beginning of the year?
Beginning of the year, we were getting ready to promote The Closer I Get to You. We were doing some photo shoots, and we were supposed to do some like other stuff. I think we were supposed to do like some radio interviews and stuff. And actually, the week we went into lockdown, we were supposed to do a radio interview, and then obviously that got cancelled because nobody could leave the house. So pre-COVID, we were kind of getting ready to show the world this film and kind of go out there with a big bang and say this is what we've made. We're really proud of it. Still proud of it. But see, COVID interrupted that. So thank you, COVID.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what have you been doing during lockdown? Hang on, let me frame that question a bit better. Okay. What have you been doing? How has lockdown impacted you along with the Black Lives Matter movement? How has that impacted you during that, these past like five months?
Yeah. I mean, at the beginning, it was a lot of sleeping, catching up and writing. I wrote 3 features and some other projects during this time. At home.
That really casually. Oh yeah, I wrote 3 features. You were one of them people that was like making episodes and we're like, right, I'm a whole book over lockdown.
Yeah, it wasn't intentional. It was just kind of like I said. I listened to music and ideas pop up, and it was kind of I have to write them down, otherwise I'm going to forget them. So kind of, and it was a way to kind of just distract myself from what was going out there. And then you mentioned with the Black Lives Matter. I mean, I speak for every person when I say that was, it's like very traumatizing and very not really to describe pain. And for me, watching that kind of just it woke something up in me, and it kind of was like I was like, okay, I'm not gonna really ignore what's been happening anymore. And like when I say ignore, I mean like obviously there's been times I've been followed in shops and called names and whatever, and I've kind of just brushed it to the side because that was kind of how I was like raised, just like who you are, don't worry about what other people say. But it kind of now feels like the time to kind of say, well, actually, hold on, who are you to assume because I'm black I'm stealing something, or call me N-word just for no reason. So I think that kind of ignited a passion in me, and now I'm a lot more passionate about it, especially because I have younger siblings and younger cousins and my family. So I want to make sure that I'm up for them. And I have a 2-year-old niece, and one day she's going to grow up, and I want to make sure that the world she grows up in is one where she's not being judged because she's black, and judged because she's actually done something worth judging.
And how do you think, based on what you've just said, kind of first of all connecting with that feeling, and then understanding, I suppose, being activated where maybe you, as you said, you brushed it off, those feelings, which again I'll say that disassociation happens whenever we're in a space of trauma. So that's just sometimes how we deal with things that are based off what you've just said, what have you done that has, I suppose, been healing for you? And then based on what you've said, how do you think it has impacted your art forms? Because obviously I know you're a filmmaker and you're a singer-songwriter as well. So how do you feel like this current time and moving forward, it's kind of semi-lockdown, has impacted art?
Yeah. I think connectivity wise, it was kind of, when I saw the video of George Floyd, I immediately, cousins and brothers and, my dad and my grandfather and uncles, just any black male relative that I had, and even friends. And, that made me mad that it went to that kind of stage, and there was like nobody really did anything about it. So I felt like emotionally connected just because I could visualize someone who I cared about being in that position and begging and pleading, and it's almost as if I connected with that loss in a sense. So like that wise, it was tough at the beginning. I felt very sort of emotionally drained. Just felt like I was like going through it, even though that I'm however many miles apart. Just being in that situation and knowing that it's something that happens daily and has been happening for so long, it was kind of just, I was like, okay, like I just need to kind of be in it and feel it, but also as well take time to kind of distance myself to a degree where, I feel like when you put yourself in trauma for so long, it can overtake your mental health, and it puts you in a situation where, anxiety crawls up, depression crawls in. And I knew that was somewhere that I didn't want to be. So I made sure that, at a certain point I stopped looking at the videos and made sure to talk more with my friends to make sure they were okay, and made sure that I, listened to music more and baked more, and, just did things that kind of make me feel, I guess, more human than what I was feeling at the time. Yeah, I think I forgot the second part.
Just about basically moving forward, how do you think it's impacted your art?
It's made me want to tell more Black stories. I think for a long time, even just growing up, you saw a lot of movies, and I love those movies, but I rarely saw movies with Black main characters. They were always the best friend or boyfriend, or they died first or whatever. And when I started making films, I had this notion in my head that, oh, if I want to make it, I have to at the forefront and that person at the side. I think.
So you thought you had to perpetuate a framework that already exists.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I kind of started to realize that I was in the wrong with Just Remember, because that was the first film that I did that had a predominantly Black cast. And then straight after that, we came and we did The Closer I Get to You. But it just made me want to do films and create art where Black people weren't, the slave or this person, but they were like super intelligent men and women, and creative and artistic. So from that standpoint, it's made me just want to tell more stories about my culture and about my people.
Okay, wicked. So based on, hang on, just check here. So based on what you've just said, then kind of leads me on to my next question. So you said, based on what you can talk about, what have you got coming up next? So obviously I'm saying this like we're not in lockdown, but I'm saying, what are you working on currently? What's in the pipeline?
Yeah. So I'm working on a feature film called It Feels Like Home. It's interracial romantic comedy with a Chinese female lead and a Black male lead, which I'm super excited. It's something that you don't really see on TV. Like you see interracial like romance comedies, but it's always, Black person or white person. person and never two ethnic minorities. So for me, it was exciting to kind of explore two different cultures and bring that to life. And so I've been working on that. Another production company that we just partnered up with, and we're getting ready to shoot next summer, which I'm excited about because I love working in the summer. But yeah, it's been fun, and it was one of the projects that I was working on during lockdown. And it has a beautiful story, and it's about love and taking chances. And I think right now, 2020, we could all do a little bit more love in our life. So I'm very excited to be working on it.
That's amazing. That's so exciting. And what's it called?
It feels like home.
It feels like home. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the comments box, and someone has said, Celia Hammond has said, I love the music inspiration for scenes, a fresh angle. Thank you, Celia. Also, I want to just encourage those, if you have any burning questions, please pop them in the comments section, in the chat box. And oh yeah, brilliant. And we'll come to you in about 5 minutes. And what I'll do is I'll ask you to put your camera on and question yourself. So it's going to basically be like we were in the massive auditorium and we weren't social distancing and we weren't internets. We'd be handing the mic around and you'd be coming on the mic and saying your question, and we'd be looking in each other's eyes like that, So yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. So yeah, put your questions in the chat box and I'll get to you. And yeah, as I get to you, you can put your camera on. Okay, so yeah, I'm just thinking now, maybe we could just jump straight to it. Let's open the floor. Tracy, are you with us?
I'm here. I'm here. My question was it a conscious decision to have a French actress as a lead? Because for me, I thought that was a brilliant move just for the African diaspora narrative.
I'll be very honest with you. Not really. I didn't know she was French until I kind of, like, we were doing auditions and I heard the accent. I was like, oh. But then it was kind of a nice spin because her character is a study abroad student anyway. So it kind of felt nice to bring that little bit of culture into this film. And at first she wanted to lose it, and I was like, no, it kind of makes it different and it gives your character that much more backstory to it. So it wasn't a conscious decision, it was just something that happened by luck.
Oh, I mean, I thought that was such a brilliant aspect to it, because I think sometimes people don't realise the breadth of the African diaspora. Mm-hmm. And when I think of films like Girlhood, it was made such a big issue to have this film with 4 black leads in a film. Yeah, there are French speakers because of colonization, and we have Senegal and, lots of French, and Guadeloupe and countries in the Caribbean and Africa that speak French. It's the obvious. So it's, as well as Spanish and German and other languages. So it's obvious that there should be more of that narrative. So it was just felt so very casual that she was in there. And I just thought, that is just lovely. For me, personally, it was just really lovely. I just thought, oh, just subtly, she's French. And that was it. And they're slightly different because culturally they are different, but people necessarily wouldn't think they're different because obviously racially they're the same, but actually they are quite different people because she's brought up in France, different way of her language. So for me, I actually thought that was really nice. So you've kind of spoiled it for me, Tiana.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought you were.
No, that's it. That's my
okay.
spiel.
Oh, thank you, Tracy. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, there's something in that. Just, I think the more that we see ourselves, when I say ours, in, Black people, but seeing the nuances and seeing as many differences that we get to see within Blackness being really important. So I was going to ask you, Tiana, you tell a lot of stories in regards to love.
Hmm.
Yeah, why do you think you why do you like to tell love stories?
I'm an old romantic at heart. I think for me, love provides that kind of like warm, fuzzy feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels very much, I don't know, like it feels like a safe place, I guess. And I mean, there's obviously different kinds of love, like within your family, your loved ones, your partner, friends, and all that kind of stuff. But for me, I've always been like, that's just always been who I've been. Even when I was a kid, I've always been the person who would always like, who cares deeply about people in their life. So for me, I always want to tell those kind of stories. Um, and also, it's kind of boring if there's no love, love or romance. Like, you always kind of expect. Um, but yeah, no, I just like to tell what I feel like love should look like and feel like to a person.
Mm-hmm. So Peckham Nunhead, you have a question for Tiana, please. You jumping in? Jump on. You're on mute, Howard.
Sorry. Yeah, I was just putting a thing out just to see if anyone else would ask a question, but I did want to ask one anyway. Would you film It Feels Like Home locally? Are you looking at SE15 or Southeast London, or you got other locations you're thinking of?
This is the first film that we're not thinking about Southeast London. The plan is to shoot in central London, specifically in Soho, in Chinatown, and then all across in just different kind of plot points, which I think is going to be nice, because as I said, like she's a female Chinese lead character, so we kind of get to explore that. I wanted to explore as much of her culture as possible, and we can't really do that whilst we're in London. But Chinatown kind of brings that kind of cultural essence to it. So yeah, this is gonna be the first film that I do that's not like 5 minutes away from where I live.
Can I just ask a second part to the question?
Sure.
How long do you think, from start to finish, how long are you seeing this project likely to be?
Well, they say a minute, like a page a minute. We're currently at 97 pages. So we're heading towards that hour and a half, 2 hour, possibly mark, which is exciting, but also kind of daunting because it's going to be like the first proper film that I do where, if possible, could be put into cinemas because it reaches a certain length of time.
I was also thinking of timelines as kind of when you might start and when you might finish, like date-wise.
The plan is to shoot for the whole of August next month.
Yeah.
So
Next
year. So next year, yeah.
I was
We're in September. We're in September now. We're in September now. So next year, the whole of August, the plan is to shoot the whole of August and then possibly release early 2022. We're in 2022.
Okay. Good luck. I'll come off. There's other questions.
So we're going to throw it out there to Anne Lazim, please, or Lazim. Apologies if I'm saying your name wrong.
You said it right the first time. Most people don't.
Yeah. Hi, Anne.
Hi. Yeah. My question is very specifically about the film, because when the credits rolled, I sort of went, oh, because they looked like they were going to split up, and they definitely couldn't. The couple definitely couldn't get back together. And then I watched, through the credits right to the end. I always try to do that. I always think it's respect for the filmmaker to watch the credits right to the end. And then there was that little scene where they met in the street and they sort of smiled at each other, and you think, oh, are they going to get back together? What's going to happen? One thing that really it was quite interesting for me about that was because I don't know how many of you watched Rafiki that we showed in the festival earlier in the week. But there was a little scene like that at the end of that as well, where these two young women had been made to split up, and then at the end there was a scene where they just were sitting together and smiling at each other. So So are we supposed to make up our own minds, Tiana, about what happens to them afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, it's open to your interpretation. I think for Nadine, the reason why she walked away was because, you know, she didn't want to interject in what was happening for him, but also it was the thing of, he broke my trust, and so how can I possibly get back with you if I don't know when you're telling me the truth? And so she kind of did that for, you know, just, it's 2020 and you don't have to take him, let's be honest. And so it's true. So she made that decision to kind of just focus on herself, but it was never a case of I don't love you anymore. It's right now I need to do what's best for me. So when we see that post-credit scene and they meet each other again, it's kind of, well, yeah, I mean, obviously I've still been thinking about you and I still love you. That's never a question. But, you know, it kind of hints that if there is something that happens, it's kind of got to have, kind of got to start again from the beginning. Because they always that instant connection. And it was something you see in the very first scene, the way they kind of just like immediately hit it off. And so it was kind of to signify that, you know, they still had that spark. But I mean, if you want them to get back together, you can. I mean, it's up to you.
Yeah. Tiana, you don't sound very hopeful that they get back together.
You know, it's not, I'm a feminist, and I believe that at a certain point, you can't have man take it for idiot. So, you know, you got what's right for you. That's what I feel. So, me personally, I no, but I mean, you know, Nadine's her own character, so why not?
Okay. Thank you, Anne. We're gonna jump in with Keena Morgan. Again, I apologize. You can correct me. Keena has a question. Keena, can you put your can you come off mute? I know you said you haven't got a camera, but can you come off mute?
Yes.
Hey, am I saying your name right?
No, it's Kina, actually.
Kina, apologies.
No problem.
Where's the accent?
Go ahead, go again. You've got the floor, Kina. You've got the floor.
Sorry, my internet connection is so bad, so hopefully it won't cut me off. But hi, Tam. I was just wondering if you could speak to your sort of broader filmography and where this film fits in with how you see the rest of your work and where you actually want to take it.
That's a great question. Wow. I don't know. I mean, in terms of filmography, I feel like the projects that I do kind of sometimes have to do with where I am in my own life, or, you know, things I've seen through friends' lives, and I kind of try to symbolize that. I realized now, 7 years in, that my traits are like realism and relatability and emotion. So I definitely want to make more films that keep true to that. They probably might look a little bit more fancy as the times go on. But yeah, I just want to keep making like honest films that relate to and people can connect to. I missed the second part of your question. Sorry.
I was just wondering.
Was there a second part?
Oh, sorry. I was just wondering just generally how it fit in with the rest of your work and where you see yourself taking your films, where you see they might play, or just creatively in terms of structure, narrative, what you want to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I obviously definitely want to sort of reach like studio level kind of stuff that would give me a lot more space to explore different genres. Definitely want to do an action film at some point. But yeah, I think just in terms of where I want to take it, I just want to be able to make films that people watch and can be watched throughout the world, while limit ourselves to one country, and just connect with and just vibe with, and you know, who knows what's going to happen. But I'm working on some really awesome projects next year and the year afterwards that'll hopefully get me to where I need to be. I'm coming for that Oscar, really and truly. That's, you know, I need to have one of those on the shelf, and then or a BAFTA, then the Oscar, and an Emmy. Why not?
All of them.
All of them, exactly, all of them.
All the things. And I just wanted to say, Kaina is calling in all the way from Indiana in the States.
Whoa, that's cool.
You international, boo.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Kaina. Thank you. So I just wanted to do a shout out to Tracy. And Tracy is in response to Anne's question about Rafiki's director, Wanuri Kahui, I hope I'm pronouncing their name right, is also a young filmmaker. So maybe the young generation like an ending with action. So that leads me up. I have a question actually. Who are your film inspirations? You have an endless to go.
Okay, first of all, Ava DuVernay.
Hey, yes.
The woman is a genius, and what she did with When They See Us is just amazing. Ooh, I like David Yates' work. Alfonso Cuarón, I like his work too. I don't know. I shoot the directors, but I get lost in the films. But there are a lot of, maybe it's better if I name the films. Whoever directed Focus, love his work or her work. Yeah, I'm not really good with names, but there are a lot of directors' work where when I watch it, I'm just like, ooh, I want to try that. That looks cool. But a long list of directors. I can't remember, or I don't pay it that much.
So you mentioned before that you'd written a series, and obviously we've had time, and it's been healing and cathartic to kind of just delve into the world of a good old binge watch of some series. Is there, obviously I know we're talking about film work, but just this screen work, and obviously we take inspiration from lots of different genres as well, but what are you watching at the moment? There's that at the moment. What did you watch, or what have you watched during lockdown? That's my question.
What have I been watching at the moment? I don't really watch that much TV, but in terms of like online stuff, The Umbrella Academy, catching up on that. I watched Cursed, which is amazing. It's probably the best twist on Arthurian legend that I've seen. I've been watching a lot of stand-up comedy specials, and a lot of movies that I haven't watched yet. Like I didn't get to watch when they were out. That's on Netflix and on Disney Plus as well. The other day I had a movie marathon, and I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp. I watched Princess and the Frog, and I couldn't believe that I hadn't watched that yet because my name's literally in it, but apparently it wasn't important enough in the time for me to watch it. And the other one that I watched, cannot remember it, but it was great. If I remember it, it'll probably pop up later on. But yeah, not many TV shows. I was watching The Voice Kids, but that's done now. There's a web series called The Athena, starring Ella Balinska, and she plays a model who decides to go to fashion school, and it's kind of about her sort of trials and tribulations while she's at fashion school, because everyone thinks like, oh, she's a model, what's she doing here? And I was hooked on that for a very long time. It's absolutely amazing. So yeah, those have kind of been what I've been watching so far. I'm always looking for recommendations.
So you're a hopeless romantic with streaks of sci-fi, action. What else? What else is in there? And comedy.
Really, anything but a horror film.
Okay, horror. No. No.
No.
Okay.
Not for me. I like to see so not horror films.
Okay. So Peckham and Nunhead said, who would be the lead in your action movie? Go. Other than me, obviously.
I was going to say I'd offer it to you first. Ella Balinska, have you seen her in Charlie's Angels? She did most of the stunts herself.
I haven't.
She's like crazy,
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. She's trained in like 7 different kinds of martial arts and combat training and stuff. So I'm down with her. She's gonna
Okay.
kill it. It'd be great. And yeah, probably her.
Okay.
Lead it. You know, more time. We need more female action movies. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
lead it with her.
Okay. Erin, the floor is over to you. Erin Elkin, can you put your camera on, please?
Hiya. I'm just going to put my camera on and stuff. I'm so sorry, this is very unprofessional, but I'm going on set this weekend and I'm dyeing my hair right now, so I apologise for the way I look.
Zoom, you don't need to apologise. We're all sat somewhere.
I was like, I'll click on while I'm letting my hair process. So this is what this is. Yeah, my question is more just sort of a general wondering on like what your style is on set as a director. I'm always really interested in kind of practical process of directors, because sometimes, you know, you're on set and it's like the script is so specific with all the gestures and action, and then other times you're on set and you're asked to improvise, and it's a scene that I'm like, oh my god, how do I improvise that? So I'm just curious to hear like what your creative process actually on set is.
I think I'm a mix of both. I'm in the middle. I think when it's kind of significant moments, then I want to make sure it's done properly. But more or less, I like to improv. Sometimes you get great moments from improv. Most of the bar scene at the beginning, the first scene, was improvised, and it's one of my favorite scenes. So yeah, I mean, it depends. Like I said, if it's sort of significant moments where something has to be the right way because it like leads to something else in the rest of the film, then I'm kind of more on it and strict. But a lot of the time, just like feel what you feel is kind of natural to you. Because I mean, when I was working on this, a lot of them were method actors, so they fully embodied their characters, and so that gave me an opportunity to, okay, well, you've become this character, do what you feel like this character would do. So a lot of their kind of responses and hand gestures and movements and kind of stuff was because they were embodying who that character was. Especially Sarah Mabel, who played Nadine. She went full method, which was kind of weird at sometimes, but everything that she did as Nadine, and then when we would yell cut, she wouldn't remember. That was the weird bit. So yeah, I'm kind of in between it, you know.
Cool. No, that's really interesting, because I did think, like, watching it, there's certain, well, most of it, but certain scenes that it's so natural. Like, was there even a script, or like was it just from like so intensely that they were just going for it?
During the montage bit, when they're playing Heads Up, that's just all them. That's just them playing Heads Up. Because it was game night, and I was thinking about what kind of games we were in such a confined space. And I was like, oh, we'll just say Heads Up. And so we kind of just let the camera roll and let just, you know, the game. So there are moments like those where it's just them having fun. And then there's kind of
yeah. No, it's, it makes it even much more like intimate or something. You're so in the moment with them. It was just so natural. I thought it was, so well done. So thank you very much for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tiana, just a reminder, could you please give a shout out to the charity that you'd like people to support tonight?
Yes, of course. So we were asked to choose a charity to support. Given the times that we are in now, I Black Minds Matter UK, which is an organization that is there to help and support Black people who have mental health issues, who, you know, suffer anxiety, depression, PTSD, and so forth. So it'd be very awesome if you guys can make a donation. don't have to be huge. You know, we're in the middle of a recession, but anything helps. And yeah, this charity is amazing, and the work that they've been doing is amazing. And I think, you know, often at times when it comes to mental health, you know, statistics of Black people, and you know, ultimately doing terrible things because they don't have access to the help they need is very large. And these guys are kind of determined to kind of decrease that number of fatalities. So yeah, Black Minds Matter UK, please shout out, please donate.
Brilliant. Thank you. Yes, no donation is too small. So whatever you can give. And thanks for turning up here, choosing to be here tonight as well, those that are watching or listening. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Tiana, about your team, the team of people. Like, could you tell me a bit about, firstly, about the creative team that you pulled together, and then you can tell me a bit about your casting process. And we talked a bit about, you know, about the experience on set and how you created the environment as a director. But yeah, could you tell me a bit about how you know, met your creative team?
Yeah. So this was the first project where I didn't have as many people that I knew beforehand on there, with the exception being my friend Dane, who's been on every single project since the very beginning. And so because it was a Black story, I wanted to make sure that the environment that we were creating was safe for us to tell that story. It was fun, it was open. And so my team have put out an ad on Star Now, and started to look at all the other amazing people who were applying and seeing who would fit well with what I was trying to create in terms of their skill base, but also just in terms of, you know, how they viewed life. Life. And slowly we started to build a very cool team that I absolutely adore. And my two assistant directors actually went to UAL. They were in UAL when we were filming, and they had to do like a work experience kind of program for their course. And because they were doing the same course that I did, my former tutor called me up and said, like, hey, I got some kids who need some work experience. Do you want to, you know, pitch your film to them and see if they're interested? And a few of them were. So that was cool as well, getting to kind of, I guess, take them under thing and kind of show them and give them that experience. In terms of like the set, it was very much chilled. We played music when we weren't filming. A lot of like 90s R&B. We had a playlist, so we would play the playlist throughout take like breaks and stuff. And because it was like a confined space, everyone was kind of just like in each other's pocket. So we would play games, we would play heads up, we would just chit chat. A lot of the time, you know, we did end up being a predominantly Black crew, which is something that's like very rarely seen. So we spent a lot of time like reminiscing on our childhoods and different kind of things that we all connected with. And yeah, like it was just the kind of environment. It was kind of, you know, kind of felt like we were just like a group of friends who just came together, and this happened to be the out result, but it just kind of felt like we were just friends, just like chilling and doing stuff that we loved. So that was cool.
Mm-hmm. And can you tell me a bit about casting process? So did you cast it yourself? Did you tell me, I know you have a casting director that's credited. Can you tell me a bit about all of that?
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of, once the ad was put up and we got applicants through, we kind of spent like 2 or 3 days just going through all of the applicants, watching their self-tapes, and then from there we narrowed it down to, I think, like maybe 10 or 15. And then we started to do sort of like chemistry reads, because especially with Nadiene and Sasha, they've been best friends for years, so that had to be believable on screen. You didn't want to watch a film where there's, they say, oh, we've been best friends for like 14 years and it looks like they've known each other like 2 seconds. So I wanted to make sure, and because I wanted to make sure that the chemistry was on point, so we did loads of chemistry reads, and I kind of just recorded them and then obviously watch them back and see that chemistry, because I wanted it to be natural and I wanted it to feel natural to the audience as well. And then from there, kind of, we sat down and made our selection and was like, okay, yeah, this is our cast. It was very much just like Britain's Got Talent when they sit there with all the Polaroids and they're like, oh, I think this one, I think that one, I think this one.
Mm-hmm. Brilliant. I'm just going to read out, thank you, Peckham and Nunhead. So the shorts online, short films, which will be online throughout the festival that reflect SE15, collective working and empowering the community. So if you look in the chat box, folks that are watching or listening, if you click on the link, you have access to all the wonderful free short films that are available during this wonderful accessible festival. Please click online there. We mentioned Black Minds Matter UK. Please donate there as well. And yeah, there's also this discussion will also go out on YouTube as well at some point. So there's a link there as well. It will be there in the next few days. So we are getting close to the end. We've got 5 minutes left. I wanted to ask, like, whilst making this film, and obviously we talked a little lockdown, what would you say that you have learnt from making this film? What have you learnt?
Lessons. That's a very good question. I think I learned kind of how to experiment more, kind of, if that makes sense. Just the way that we did some of the scenes. Obviously, in pre-production, you have a list and you're like, okay, these are going to be the shots. But more or less on the day, I'd have a new idea and I would change my mind. So we had to change the angle that we were going to shoot from, or change how the scene was going to be delivered. And there was a couple of days where we were shooting on location and we just didn't have enough time in the day. And so it forced me to kind of rework scenes in that moment. There's a bar scene when Nadiene finds out what's going on. That's supposed to be, but because we didn't have the time to do it, we were running against time. I had like 30 seconds to think of another way for her to get that information and for her to react and for it to be impactful, and then get it shot. So I think it kind of taught me to not like react under pressure and kind of remain calm and just think logistically about kind of what to do. And it also kind of, I think I experimented a lot more with the depth of the emotions and depth of the storyline and how I wanted to tell that. And like I said before, when I was 17, like I didn't know anything about making films, and now I know a little bit more. But it kind of was the first film where I was working where I was like, oh, I could actually do this for the rest of the month and be like blissfully content. So yeah.
And they're kind of two questions in one.
Okay.
What advice would you give? I mean, you're still young, but what advice would you give to your younger self?
Relax. Breathe. Probably a good one too. I don't know. I think take my time and appreciate each moment and pay close attention to every aspect of what you're doing, and don't just try and make films to put stuff out there, but make films because it's what you want to do, and have more pride in your work. The first, I think, 3 or 4 films that I did, looking back on it now, they were very rushed and were missing elements that makes a film a film. And whereas now, going into projects, I'm thinking about everything, and I'm making sure that everything is there, and that nothing's kind of left behind. So I think, yeah, if I could tell 17-year-old Tiana something, it would be that: just take your time, relax, and smile more, have fun. You know, you only live once.
That's right. And as I said before, I'm going to ask you a question that probably kind of covers a little bit of what you've said, but what advice would you give to someone who's listening or watching right now who hasn't made their first film, or is on the edge of maybe about to shoot, like they're new filmmakers and they want to put their stuff out there? Could you give some advice, or
First of all, go with your gut. Your gut is always going to be right. Your gut is the best thing ever. Breathe, relax. It's going to be okay. The first day you're always going to be nervous on the first day, but by the second day, you're going to wish that it never ends. And just enjoy the moments. Enjoy the memories that you're about to make, because when you look back on them, it will be some of the best moments of your life. I look back on every project done, and I feel so happy that I got to experience those moments with those people. So yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So Tracy has put on here, filmmakers I think you would find interesting if you're not already familiar with Cheryl Dunye and Comfort Arthur. Here is some information about their work. So I'm hoping that maybe before we go, we can take down all of this information, people, whilst you can, because I don't want it to go and then you don't have it. So please, the links for the future future films and the rest of the festival, you've got the link there. Please go on the Black Minds Matter UK website. You can find them on Instagram, and just Google it. Popular charity at the moment, so please click on there and make a donation, whatever you can. And also, you've got this discussion will be going out on YouTube in the next few days, and we've also got a wonderful link to some other filmmakers' work there, so I need to copy and paste that too. So I'm going to wrap it up there, folks. And Tiana,
before we do,
I was going to say, is there anything else that you want to share with everybody?
Well, obviously, I hope everyone's staying safe. But Darrell, I just wanted to say thank you for agreeing to host this. I think we've known each other almost 5 years now.
Oh wow!
And I know it's been a long time. And pretty much from the second we met, you've always been supportive, and it means a lot. And I look at you as a big sister. So I just wanted to thank you for doing this and being a part of a very big moment for me.
That's really, thank you so much. Listen, when you win, when the other sister wins, when anyone wins, we all win, so we are part of this wider community, and we're just trying to build bridges and bring people closer together. That's it. This whole movement is about love. It's about love, and us connecting. So thank you for asking me, and you're amazing, you're great, congratulations. Look forward to seeing your next film. And thank you for allowing me to be part of that journey. And on that note, thank you, Peckham. Peckham says, Peckham and Nunhead Festival say, many thanks to both of you so much. So on that note, I want to wish you, everyone in the room, thank you so much for joining us. And if you want, at this very moment, please, every single person, if you are able to, please put on your camera, go on gallery space, and we're just going to say a thank you and a little wave. It's just nice to just bring everyone back into the space. And we're just going to, so thank you all for coming and for being part of this discussion. And please, please, please support Tiana and her future work. You can follow her at Tiana Banton, and also you can look at her stuff on YouTube as well at Hanton Films. And they can follow you on Instagram and Twitter, all the socials at Tiana Banton. Hi, look at these beautiful faces. So please continue. We need to support our our young filmmakers. So we have a generation that is being supported and nurtured, and yeah, we can continue this work, you know. So thank you all, and good night. Be safe.
Thank you very
Wear your
much.
Bye,
mask.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Sam. Bye.